A reading from the book of Daniel, chapter 11. And in the first year of Darius the Mede, I took my stand to support and strengthen him. And now I shall tell you the truth about these things. Early struggles between Seleucids and Ptolemies. 3 more kings are going to rise in Persia. A 4th will come and be richer than all the others, and when, thanks to his wealth, he has grown powerful, he will make war on all the kingdoms of Greece. A mighty king will rise and govern a vast empire and do whatever he pleases. But as soon as he comes to power, his empire will be broken up and divided out to the 4 winds of heaven, but not to his descendants. It will not be ruled as he ruled it, for his sovereignty will be uprooted and will pass to others than his own descendants. The king of the south will grow powerful, but one of his princes will grow more powerful still, with a realm greater than his own. After some years, they will conclude a treaty, and to ratify the agreement, the daughter of the king of the south will come to the king of the north. Her arm will not, however, retain its strength, nor his posterity endure. She will be handed over, she, her attendants, and her child, and he who supported her. In due time, a shoot from her roots will rise in his place, will march on the defenses of the king of the north, penetrate his stronghold, and succeed in overcoming them. He will even carry off all their gods, their statues, their precious gold and silver vessels as booty to Egypt. For some years he will leave the king of the north in peace, but the latter will invade the realm of the king of the south, then retire to his own country. His sons will next be on the march, mustering a host of powerful forces, and he will advance, deploy, break through, and march on the southern stronghold once again. The king of the south will fly into a rage and set out to give battle to the king of the north, who will have an immense army on his side. But this army will be defeated by him. The army will be annihilated. He will be triumphant. He will overthrow tens of thousands, yet he will have no enduring strength. The king of the north will come back, having recruited an even larger army than before, and finally, after some years, he will advance a second time with a great army and plentiful supplies. At that time, many will take up arms against the king of the south, and the more violent of your own people will rebel in the hope of realizing the vision. But they will fail. The king of the north will then come and throw up siege works to capture a strongly fortified city. The forces of the south will not stand their ground. The pick of the people will not be strong enough to resist. The invader will do as he pleases. No one will be able to resist him. He will take his stand in the land of splendor, destruction in his hands. He will set about conquering his entire kingdom, but will then make a treaty with him, and to overthrow the kingdom, give him a woman's hand. But this will not last, or be to his advantage. He will next turn to the coasts and islands, and conquer many of them. But a magistrate will put a stop to his outrages in such a way that he will be unable to repay outrage for outrage. He will then turn on the strongholds of his own country, but will stumble and fall, never to be seen again. In his place there will arise one who will send an extortioner for the royal splendor. In a few days he will be shattered, though not in the heat of battle. Antiochus for Epiphanes. In his place will rise a wretch. Royal honors will not be given to him, but rather he will come forward at his pleasure and will gain control of the kingship by intrigue. Armies will be utterly routed and crushed by him, the Prince of the Covenant too. Through his alliances he will act treacherously, and despite the smallness of his following, grow ever stronger. At his pleasure he will invade rich provinces, acting as his fathers or his fathers' fathers never acted, distributing among them plunder, spoil, and wealth, plotting his stratagems against the fortresses for a time. He will summon up his might and courage against the king of the south with a great army. The king of the south will march to war with a huge and powerful army, but will not succeed, since he will be outwitted by trickery. Those who shared his food will ruin him. His army will be swept away. Many will fall in the slaughter. The two kings, seated at one table, hearts bent on evil, will tell their lies, but they will not have their way, for the appointed end time is still to come. Then he will return greatly enriched to his own land, his heart set against the Holy Covenant. He will take action and then return to his own land. In due time, he will make his way southwards again, but this time the outcome will not be as before. The ships of the Kittim will come against him, and he will be daunted and will withdraw. He will rage against the Holy Covenant and, as before, will come to an understanding with those who forsake that Holy Covenant. Forces of his will come and profane the temple and the citadel. They will abolish the perpetual sacrifice and install the appalling abomination there. Those who break the covenant he will seduce by his blandishments, but the people who know their God will stand firm and take action. Those of the people who are wise leaders will instruct many. For some days, however, they will stumble from sword and flame, captivity and pillage. And thus, stumbling, they will receive scant help, and many will be deceptive in their support. Of the wise leaders, some will stumble, and so a number of them will be purged, purified, and made clean until the time of the end. For the appointed time is still to come. The king will do as he pleases, growing more and more arrogant, considering himself greater than all the gods. He will utter incredible blasphemies against the God of gods, and he will thrive until the wrath reaches bursting point. For what has been decreed will certainly be fulfilled. Heedless of his father's gods, heedless of the God whom women love, heedless of any God at all, he will consider himself greatest of all. Instead of them, he will honor the god of fortresses, will honor a god unknown to his ancestors with gold and silver, precious stones, and valuable presents. He will use the people of an alien god to defend the fortresses. He will confer great honors on anyone who acknowledges him, giving them wide authority and distributing the land for a price. The time of the end of the persecutor. When the time comes for the end, the king of the south will try conclusions with him, but the king of the north will come storming down on him with chariots, cavalry, and a large fleet. He will invade countries, overrun them, and drive on. He will invade the land of splendor, and many will fall. But Edom, Moab, and what remains of the sons of Ammon will escape him. He will reach out to attack countries. Egypt will not escape him. The gold and silver treasures and all the valuables of Egypt will lie in his power. Libyans and Ethiopians will be at his feet. But reports coming from the east and the north will worry him, and in great fury he will set out to bring ruin and destruction to many. He will pitch the tents of his royal headquarters between the sea and the mountains of the holy splendor. Yet he will come to his end. There will be no one to help him. The word of the Lord.